Welcome to the Prostate Cancer Patient Empowerment Program PC-PEP podcast. This is episode number 2. I'm thrilled to welcome you to this episode where we explore the inspiring journeys of individuals navigating life after a prostate cancer diagnosis. I'm your host, Gabriela, Ilie, a scientist dedicated to creating evidence-based programs to empower cancer patients to take control of their health and improve their quality of life. Co-hosting with me in future episodes will be Dr. Rob Rutledge, a prostate cancer oncologist from Nova Scotia, Canada, and my co-founder of PC-PEP. Together, we've built programs rooted in patient feedback and rigorous research to deliver practical, life-changing tools that help people thrive no matter the challenges they face. Today, we're honored to feature the story of David Buckland, whose prostate cancer diagnosis came as a complete surprise. No symptoms, no family history. Despite this unexpected journey, David chose to focus on what he could control, seeking information, prioritizing self-care, and finding strength in the supportive communities around him. Through ADT, external beam radiation, and brachytherapy, David not only completed his treatment but also finished his PhD, all while fostering meaningful connections with his sister, his mentors, and the men he met in the PC-PEP program. David's journey exemplifies the power of choosing to live fully and let your spirit shine no matter the circumstances. In this episode, we'll discuss how he embraced being present, living his purpose, and staying grounded for himself and those who love him. We'll also explore how PC-PEP helped David transform his approach to life, offering consistency, camaraderie, and a sense of purpose that continues to resonate years after his treatment. Patient engagement is a cornerstone of PC-PEP, and David and I will dive into how patient feedback has continuously shaped the program, ensuring it adapts to evolving needs and challenges patients face. This is why PC-PEP becomes, as David puts it, a kind of Hotel California. You come in and you never want to leave. It's a place where laughter, lightheartedness, and heartfelt connection meet practical guidance to help men and their families navigate cancer care and beyond. David also shares the importance of learning how to talk about cancer in a way that doesn't dominate your life, but allows for normality, thriving, and deep, meaningful connections. Whether with friends, family, or strangers, it's about finding balance, reclaiming life, and not letting cancer define you. In each episode, we explore stories like David's, real transformative journeys that highlight PC-PEP's 8 essential pillars: pelvic floor physiotherapy, intimacy and sexuality, nutrition, aerobic and strength training, attitudinal healing, stress management, with heart rate variability tools, social support, and scientific updates. Together, these elements empower patients to live their best lives. If you're interested in joining the PC-PEP program, it's available for free to anyone worldwide who speaks English. Visit pcpep.org for more details. For those not interested in a research trial, explore cancerpep.com, where our team tailors programs for any cancer diagnosis. Thank you for joining us, and let's dive into David's inspiring story. Together, we're not just tackling prostate cancer, we're redefining how we live with it. Well, David, it's such a pleasure to see you today. Thank you so much for agreeing to do this podcast with me.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm really happy to offer any support I can. For me, the PC-PEP program was such a relief and support through the process. When I got diagnosed, I knew nothing about it. It was a fluke that it was even discovered. So I had a relief doctor, and when I went in for a routine checkup, he just said, "Oh, we should get some blood work done. We haven't done any for a while." And he checked the PSA box, which I didn't know anything about, but he checked the box, and my MD hadn't. And it came back like 5 times normal levels. It was like, oh, okay. And they were like, oh, it's probably nothing, a little inflammation or something like that. And but we ended up doing a biopsy, and it came back 65% cancer. And they considered that it was aggressive, and so it needed quick treatment. I think things started pretty quickly.
Yeah.
I got the bone scan and, the various kinds of things that the CT scan and all that.
So it happened during the pandemic for you?
Yeah. And as a result of that, some resources actually were no longer available, like the local in-person support group had closed.
Because I do remember that part. Yeah. So
Yeah,
when exactly were you diagnosed?
it was in the fall of 21.
21. Yeah.
Yeah, and like I said, it kind of came out of the blue, no symptoms. Although I now understand that's typical of prostate cancer. Sometimes people catch it much later. I'm just very grateful because if that he hadn't just checked that little box, it wouldn't have been found until later. And once it's spread, it's, you know, you generally for the rest of your life.
So you go for a regular checkup and the doctor clicks up the box, let's check the PSA.
Yeah.
You think nothing of it. And then what?
Well, then I get the lab results back and it's really high. And, now they make the lab results available online. So I like to go in and check myself. So I'm prepared before I go into a doctor's office. So I found this out. So I did a little bit of research to find out what it means. And, I had no idea how to interpret the information. And then my doctor reassures me that it's probably nothing, like I mentioned. But, then it turned out to, we did the biopsy and it was more than something. And then the thing started pretty quickly. So my first thing was to find out more. My doctor, I think he mentioned Inspire Health in Vancouver, which is a general cancer support thing, but most of their programs were in person. They were kind of transitioning to pandemic online stuff, and it wasn't really specific to my situation. But then I found out about the Vancouver Prostate Cancer Center, and they have online courses, and they were also in the process of transitioning to online courses, which made them accessible to me because I'm not in Vancouver. That helped a lot because it helped me make a decision on treatment. With prostate cancer, there's surgery or radiation depending on circumstances. So it helped me get informed, but it was sort of like, here's some dietary advice, and you can see a dietitian for an hour, and that's it. And then no local support group available. Actually, I think it was I took a few classes with Inspire Health, and I think it was in one of those classes. One of the women in the group, I'm not sure how she knew about it, she posted the link to PC-PEP.
Wow.
And just,
So it was a woman who got you to PC-PEP, which is kind of ironic,
yeah, it's a men's program. Yeah, and so I checked it out, and it was right up my alley. And so I applied and went through the little process. And basically, shortly after after treatment started, I got into the program.
So you find out you have prostate cancer. What's going through your mind?
Well, it was kind of a shock at first. I didn't know how to process that information. I had no warning or, no sort of like symptoms that weren't going away or anything like that kind of stuff. And so it was just like totally out of the blue.
Yeah.
And I'm not aware of any history in my family either. So there wasn't that kind of flag. Didn't show up in like I'd done some genetic testing
Yeah.
for health stuff and nothing in there either. And so, yeah, so it was completely out of the blue. Didn't know how to deal with it. And so I just focused on getting
Yeah.
informed and
Right.
trying to get a better understanding of what it was that was going on. And,
Yeah.
it was nice to find out that, it's really common for men, especially the older you get, and that there was support stuff there. It was up to me to find that out. And, it was a lot. And then there was a big debate about, do I talk about it to friends,
Right.
family? I didn't know if I
Right.
should keep this to myself or to share it.
Yeah.
I decided it would be better to share so people knew what was going on. And after I got myself informed and knew how to talk about it, and I could.
And what would be the hesitation there? What would be the hesitation there? What would be because I guess this makes for an interesting reflection. I have cancer. Do I share it? Do I not? What are some of the thoughts you're having as you
Well, I
try to
don't
make a decision?
want them to be upset.
Yeah.
I don't want to, you know, and my family is kind of spread out a little bit, not a
Mhm.
lot, but they're not local. So they're not in a position to offer a lot of support.
Mhm.
Um,
Yeah.
from nice words or whatever. Actually, another thing that surprised me after I did decide to start talking about it and told my immediate family first and then gradually more. But as I talked about it a little bit in my social circles, I found out that several people that I knew well had also been through it and I didn't know. And so they shared their experience with it. And a couple of them stayed in touch regularly while I went through the treatment and recovery process. So that was really nice to have that, one-on-one kind of support. And we just chatted about other stuff as well. But, it was nice because even the PC-PEP program ended. So, so it was nice to have that support continued in different ways. Because that's one of the important part is to be able to talk about it with someone and share what you're going through.
Mm-hmm.
One of the things that did happen though, when I went, I got treatment primarily in Victoria, in the cancer center in Victoria. So I stayed in the nearby lodge, and I got what they call triple therapy. So I got ADT, or hormone therapy, to suppress the testosterone that feeds the cancer. Then I got 23 rounds of EBRT, external beam radiation therapy. So it's basically daily, weekdays for a month.
Yeah.
And then I did brachytherapy about 10 days after the radiation was finished. And brachytherapy, they insert radioactive pellets right into the prostate to nuke anything that's left. That has been an effective treatment for me. But I was fine on my own during the radiation treatment, but for brachytherapy, they put you out and that. And so the lodge insisted that I have someone with me for that for a couple of days. And so I asked my sister if she would come and share a room with me. And, she didn't need much support, but, I valued spending the time with her.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she was really pleased because there was something she could do.
Yeah. You gave her an opportunity to show how much she loves you and cares about you. Were there any tough spots, any difficult moments, or things that surprised you along the way while you were being treated?
Well, one of the interesting things about the process was that I had no symptoms of the cancer, but I got lots of symptoms of the treatment. So one of the things about ADT, a big one is the fatigue. There's kind of two kinds of fatigue. There's fatigue from the imbalance in the hormones that's created by suppressing testosterone. It's surprising how many different things that influences. But the other part is one of the things you get with ADT is hot flashes, especially earlier on, and that's really disruptive for sleep. And then you also need to start peeing more urgently and more often, and so you're getting up at night more often than before. And then I had a less common side effect from it was skin inflammation. So I got itchy skin. Here I am trying to sleep at night, having to get up to pee, getting hot flashes, waking up in a sweat, and then waking up with itchy skin. It's a combination. And the heat from the hot flashes made the skin inflammation worse because it's more heat.
Of course. Yeah.
So I had what I call my zombie phase, where I wasn't getting much sleep and it was kind of dysfunctional. I ordered there was a local company that made decent quality frozen meals. And so I ordered a bunch of stuff and so I just had to nuke it and I could meal it and then, I'd be a vegetable most of the time. I got a subscription to Netflix there because there wasn't much else I could do. So so I did do PC-PEP and the program has an exercise component, which I diligently did for a period of time. But then in that phase, it was really hard to sustain the strength training. But it did give me the background to know what to do as I came out of it, as my energy came back. And
did you have any doubts joining the PC-PEP program at first, or were you all in right from the start?
I was all in because I needed support, and I loved the combination of things that you were doing. Like I had spent a lot of time developing, before getting treated. My weight had been climbing from I'm a writer and spent a lot of time sitting, so I needed to get more active. As you age, your metabolism slows. And so you tend to put on weight, and I needed to correct that. So I was making dietary changes already, and then start treatment, and they're telling me that I should eat low fiber, kind of the opposite of what I was trying to do. And so it's like trying to figure out what I'm going to do with this. And so you guys had great dietary advice that really helped. and helped me go through that process and then come back into higher fiber. And just again, the support, I got gave me a bit of a social life because with the pandemic and not
Yeah.
having to go anywhere, it was really nice to
Oh.
have that.
That was a difficult time, and as I recall correctly from our monthly video conferences, and I could be wrong about this, but I don't know why I have an image of you living. I think you live on the island in
Vancouver Island, yes.
Vancouver, on Vancouver Island, and so probably you have forests and woods there. Did,
Yeah.
did you take the time to go for walks? How was that? I mean, that was a wicked time. I mean, really, for everybody.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah. No, I did do a lot of
pretty
walking
fun.
and I started biking as well. There's a really nice trail along the paved trail along the river, which was about a
Mhm.
half block from me.
Right.
And so I started bike riding up and down the river and going further and further. But then with the energy getting tapped out, the biking kind of got smaller and smaller, and then I stopped. But again, that started to grow again afterwards. It
Yeah.
really brought it in, and it varies though. Not everybody has that big an impact. I mean,
And
I'm amazed
yeah.
when people work
Oh, sure,
right
sure.
through the movement and stuff.
So I'm just wondering what did all this do to your creative spirit? I mean, you're a writer,
Yeah.
and you mentioned that earlier on today. What did that do to your creative spirit? What sort of reflections were going through your mind at the time? Okay, so I have prostate cancer. What does that mean? How does that affect what I want to do with my life? How I want to fulfill my purpose? And
Well, a lot of things were kind of first part of the pandemic. I did write my dissertation for a PhD, um, and so was able to get that done beforehand happily. Because then again, with the two kinds of fatigue going on,
yeah,
there wasn't a lot of energy or mental clarity. Sometimes there would be like I could actually write the article, but then editing when you kind of smoothing out and making sure people it may make sense, that's kind of a different mode of the mind. So
hmm,
sometimes the editing mode just wouldn't come online. And I just knew I couldn't really smooth it out too much. So the writing slowed down quite a bit. But I just basically shifted. I did a lot of volunteer work beforehand, let all that go, and just focused on self-care. That was kind of what I needed to do. And I'm a person who's not focused on self-care. So I just my body,
most of us are not.
yeah, my body has been pretty healthy, and so I've taken it for
Yeah.
granted. And like I mentioned about putting on some weight and that, and
Hmm.
so I was kind of moving towards more, greater levels of self-care.
Hmm.
But it became, more of the focus of my life during treatment because, and that's where the PC-PEP program was really advantageous too, because they talked about all the layers of that, of exercise and diet
Yeah,
and
yeah.
stress management and all that stuff.
Can you share with us what was your experience like during the program? What parts of the program stood up for you and why?
Well, I remember really enjoying the daily videos, uh,
Hmm.
seeing you and Rob and like having a friend who's on my side, during that process. That was really nice. And, the two of you are also a really nice combination and are really caring and supportive. So it was really nice to have that. I can kind of see it as a slight disadvantage to the expansion of the program because at a certain point you're not going to be able to do it at all. But it was really nice to have the two of you there,
Hmm.
and then the monthly support calls, which uh, I've continued on afterwards after the 6-month program. I was really, as I mentioned, I was really happy about the dietary advice, and you suggested things, and there was different kinds of stuff that you had that were expanded my options.
Yeah.
So that was really nice. And then the exercise program, I didn't have a good. I learned yoga a long time ago for stretching. I knew some cardio stuff, like dancing and going for walking and that kind of stuff, and biking, but I didn't really have a strength training routine, and so that was really valuable um, to get those kind of basics established. And I got a few things to support that, and then I've just recently got more involved in doing that again, and I've expanded my weights and got a better mat and that kind of thing. So I can
Really happy to hear that you're growing into that.
yeah, sustain. And I've lost 50 pounds now.
Wow, amazing. You look
Wasn't
great.
allowed.
You look great.
I wasn't
So
allowed to diet when I was on yeah, that was the thing. I was putting on weight, wanted to shift that trend, and then I probably moved because one of the things about ADT is you tend to put on weight and then you're really
yeah,
sedentary,
yeah,
and
yeah,
so it makes it worse. But
yes.
I wasn't allowed to diet or anything, so just put up with it for the time being, and roll your eyes when you watch the scale climbing, but and so finally, a year after treatment, they said I could lose the weight, and so I started a program and come in.
I know that you were coming quite frequently to the monthly video conferences, uh, and in fact, to my knowledge, you attended most of them.
Yeah.
How important were they in helping you feel connected with other men in the program, whether they were from Canada or New Zealand or other countries? Did you also take the program once or more than once? And what, because you're still attending those monthly video conferences, what makes you come back?
It was really nice to have the monthly because the program was running on the East Coast and I'm out on the West Coast. There was a distance there, and so I wasn't familiar with the doctors the guys were talking about, but it was really nice. I got to know a few people. One of the fellows was a mentor and was available to answer our questions if I had questions and stuff. Really nice, supportive group of guys. I really valued that, and just making it a shared. That I wasn't in some kind of weird place that was unusual and that nobody had run into before or whatever like that. And actually, when I moved last year a bit north, also on the island,
Mhm.
and there is an active in-person group here, which is nice. I can't always make
Oh, absolutely. And we encourage you to contact your local support group. What was that like for you?
It's a nice group. It's a decent size. I mean, there's often
Nice.
12, 15 guys there. A lot of them went through the program some years ago, and they're happy to share their experience, but
Mhm.
treatments have evolved a little bit, and they're not and most of them are not tech savvy and stuff. So the idea of doing an online program is kind of foreign to them.
Oh yeah.
So I
It's too
talk
bad
about, oh,
they could take PC-PEP.
yeah, PC-PEP's great, and it's
Be
like
great for them.
online. What's that? Zoom. Yeah,
Actually, not sure if you, yeah, actually, you were here on Tuesday. We gave an update of the scientific evidence because we have
yeah, that was great. Yeah,
randomized trials, and it's great to see the results. And in one of the results, we looked at Pepper's attendance to local support groups since we encourage them. We
yeah,
encourage you contact your locals and you form relationships, and you also share with them about your experience in the program. And we noticed scientifically that men who attended the PC-PEP program compared to those that were in the control group, meaning they were just going through usual care, standard medical care, were much more likely to reach out to their local support groups
yeah,
and attend there and look for opportunities within their community to
yeah.
continue to have healthy living habits we're teaching in the program. So that was very encouraging.
Yeah, men especially. They're women sort of grow up being
Yeah.
socializing and being in groups and stuff, whereas men are much more likely to be on their own and independent and I'll get through this myself kind of thing. But this is territory where it's like completely foreign. So, I really valued the feedback and stuff. And I mean, it does make a difference. I noticed that we did last year we did the local support group did a Christmas dinner at a local restaurant, and I was the only single guy there. All the rest of them were married. So they had the support of their partner, and the partners were very aware of, they were coming to a dinner for the support group, so they were supportive of their activity in it as well. And also many of them are a good percentage of them have been here for quite a long time, so there's kind of like they know the community. And there's kind of like a small town, even though it's a city now. There's kind of a bit of a small town thing where they know, you mentioned some business and they know who's owned it since, and all this kind of
Yeah.
local town kind of awareness, which I'm oblivious to all that.
Yeah.
So it's interesting because they've been around so it's not as ideal. Whereas I found the PC-PEP program, the support I got there was more generic's not the right word, but it's more universal. And you know, I was out here on the coast, but they were fine supporting that and the other guys and stuff. I mean, and they understood what was important to other guys, and there are people that are into being supportive. I mean, there's guys in the program that have come to the monthly meetings and stuff went through it in the beginning, you know, when you first launched, and
Yeah.
you know, they're still there helping support other guys, and that's nice.
Was there a particular part of PC-PEP that was particularly impactful to you?
Well, I guess for me, it was just the overall package that there was this support and there was things to do each day. And I had to kind of organize a little bit at first to kind of figure out when I was going to do what during the day and you know that. But once I got into the routine of it, it was just very smooth. And it just was really nice. It was just part of my routine. And you know, I felt supported in that where if without that, it just like I took some classes, they're done. It's you know, that's it.
Mm.
And it was challenging because my support network had collapsed because of the pandemic already. And so
Mhm.
my general support going on, being single and that was, you know, I mean, I was staying in touch with friends on Zoom and that. Those were not friends that could relate, you know. I got teased by a few of my women friends in my age group about having hot flashes because it's like, oh yeah, what are you complaining about? They'd been through that for menopause.
Mhm.
But yeah, so I really enjoyed it. One of the things, I guess the only thing part of the program that I didn't make as much use out of was the stress management part, because I'm a long-term meditator, and so I had tools for that already. But it was really interesting trying, you know, the monitor and looking at the results in the software and
Yeah, the feedback device. Yeah, yeah,
yeah, that was quite interesting.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah,
Well, so something must have kept you coming back because now it's 3 years since then. It's been 3 years since you started the
wow,
program. Do you realize that, David? 3 years,
wow,
and you're still attending monthly video conferences, and you're
yeah,
connecting men from all over the world in a very heartwarming environment, I have to say. Rob and
yeah,
I are thrilled that in 5 years now we've been running the program. Never have we had anything except a lot of heartfulness and goodwill and amazing conversations. We have
yeah,
we never had any troublemakers.
yeah. Yeah, yeah. I think it's interesting when I think about it. The because the need has fallen off as I've finished treatment, and then there was about uh, a year and a half of recovery because the it takes a while for the hormones to get back to normal and that kind of thing. And now you know, this spring my energy started coming back again. It's so nice. Uh,
I know.
so yeah, the need for support has gone down, but there's kind of
Mm.
a bit of camaraderie. It's really nice to see
Yeah. Well,
just
there's some
you,
consistency and stability, right? It's like
yeah, yeah,
seeing the same
yeah,
people, going through the walks of life, and life is still happening, and we're reflecting on
yeah,
each other's journey, each other's processes, each other's, what have we learned? What's the message here? How have
yeah.
we grown? And to be
And
able to share that in a safe environment with lots of humor. Uh,
yeah, and the group itself, you know, the talks you give on them are less relevant for me now because I've been through the process.
yeah, yeah.
But the but occasionally there's something that's like this last week that I really wanted to see that because you were talking about the research results and yeah, so it's yeah, it's kind of like a community that I've been a part of, and so I still like to, you know, stay in touch and uh,
Yeah, yeah.
we'll see how that goes over time. But yeah, because sometimes occasionally there's something that conflicts with it, so I'm not able to come.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
there's always the recordings.
Yeah, it's always great to see you. Let's suppose that a friend of yours will come to you tomorrow and say, "Look, David, I've got a prostate cancer diagnosis. I've just been diagnosed." What would you say to them would you tell them to consider PC-PEP and why? What advice would you give them?
Yes. One of the first things I tell them is to get informed because they need to be able to understand what treatments are being recommended and why you would choose one or the other. As someone who's working full time, like I chose a radiation path, but someone who's working full time may find that surgeries would be better for them because it's faster. Or it depends. The doctor may make certain, some people, the doctor recommends against surgery for various reasons, or vice versa. So getting informed so you can make informed decisions is really important. There's some shorter courses that can be taken to get there faster that are available. I think nationally now, most of it. But for treatment, support during treatment, yes, I would definitely recommend PC-PEP because then you're with a community of people going through the same thing. And I know men's groups aren't as big a thing for men, but they can be really valuable. It's a big thing to go through, and not to underestimate what you'll be processing. I had to give up a lot of things from my life for a while. Like dating, that was off the table for a while. And even when I started dating again later, it was sort of like, well, I need to talk about this somewhere fairly early in the relationship, so they're aware of my history around this. Especially when I was still recovering. Yeah, and I mean, I dated somebody recently that whose prior husband had died of cancer. So so it's they were supportive in that sense, but it was also something for them to process, to contemplate that their relationship with that. And so it's this thing now. I remember when I got my CT scan, I had this little chat with the technician. She showed me how it worked and that kind of thing. But she referred to me as a cancer survivor, and I was kind of like, what? Well, actually, I think it was when I first went into the room, she said, "And you're a cancer survivor." I think she was just confirming that I was the right person or something. And I was like, "What?"
What?
Because I just been diagnosed. It's like survivor. Holy cow! That's not how I wanted to frame it. But it can be a bit of a marathon now going through.
Oh, totally, totally. It's almost like you have to bump into this idea of, could this thing actually take my life?
Oh yeah,
You
yeah,
know what I mean? So, and what does that mean? Oh, do you mean, I could exit tomorrow kind of thing?
yeah, yeah. No, and
How
it's
much time are we talking about?
I've also been grateful. Like when I was staying in the lodge in Victoria
Yeah.
during treatment, some of the other people there were in much worse shape, having they had they were on chemo and harsher treatments. So I could count myself lucky, even though it was very challenging. It was
Yeah.
still not what it might have been.
Yeah.
Actually, even a friend here, one of my neighbors, has found out he has prostate cancer, and when they found out, it had already spread. And so they put him on hormone therapy, essentially permanently. But he's basically decided to choose between quality of life and length of life. One time I was at my bedroom window. I'm on the second floor, and
Hmm.
outside on a ladder. So I opened the window to chat with him, and he's up on this ladder cleaning the gutters, and says, "Yeah, yeah, they told me if I broke a bone, it's not going to heal because it's in his bones."
Oh,
It's like he's up there.
there he's up on a ladder.
It's like, yeah. He's making the best of his uh, situation, and
Oh,
that's
yeah.
what you can do.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, totally.
I'm grateful again that it was caught when it was caught, and
Yeah.
that
You know what he reminds me of? Our first podcast with John. Moody from New Zealand. And I think I told you the story, and you probably heard the podcast. So John and his wife bump into this nurse who's saying, "Oh, what happened to you guys?" "Well, we just got prostate cancer." And she's like, "Well, don't let it ruin your day." And at first, they're saying, "What the heck is she talking about? We just, did she hear what we told her? We just been diagnosed with prostate cancer." And now this is their mantra. We will not let this ruin our day. Whatever it is, let's
Yeah.
not let it ruin our day. So the same thing, he's on the ladder, cleaning the
Yeah.
leaves
Yeah.
and
It's not
so
gonna let it
on.
ruin his day.
He's
Yeah.
not
No,
letting this ruin his day,
right. That's right. And it's,
living in the present moment.
yeah. And he
But
still has,
honest to goodness, that's what this is, right?
yeah. And he
You
still has
make a
those symptoms.
decision. Yeah, I'm still going to enjoy my life. I'm still going to, do the things I enjoy in life. And because that's quality of life. Let me live my purpose. Let
Yeah.
the light inside me shine in whatever things that I believe they fulfill my purpose.
Yeah. And he's still working every day in his
There you go.
80s.
There you go.
Yeah. So
There you go.
impressive.
Very impressive. Just beautiful. Very inspirational. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that's important. It's important to do as
Yeah. And that,
others learn
yeah.
from our behavior as well. We demonstrate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's get yourself informed and then get yourself support.
Yeah.
Those are the kind of the
The
two
two
things.
things. Yeah.
Yeah. And the PC-PEP program is the best I've seen for the support part. Because I mean there are support groups in a lot of places and that, but they're monthly, and they're valuable also because you can potentially make connections there and potentially even long-term friends.
Mm-hmm.
Um, it depends on the group, how that works. But yeah, the even though PC-PEP was long distance, it was still it was really valuable for me, and it's nice to see everybody and how they're doing. And when I come in, there's you have the conversations beforehand.
Yeah, those groups are wonderful. Now we have one for the rural guys, we have one for the new guys, one for the Black men, LGBTQ, and Indigenous groups. Now we're
Well,
just
there's a separate one for you guys, eh? Oh,
yeah,
that's
isn't that cool?
yeah,
And it's lovely and it's wonderful because the program continues to be shaped by patients' voices. It was, I think, Kimball. Kimball is the first one that said, you know what, we should, and he was a mentor, obviously. He's been involved in the program from the beginning, back 5+ years ago. And he said, I think a lot of those guys would benefit to have some conversations, just among ourselves designed for each specific group before the monthly video conference. So that's
yeah,
how it all started, and then it grew from there. But I think it's so important to allow that kind of molding of those kind of programs to happen. I think patient engagement, it's crucial. It's at the
yes,
very heart of developing any kind of interventions. And if you don't do that, you're really losing into creating something that will be used. The program's usability by you guys can be
yeah, and
even
there's
after you
lots of
finish the
little
program.
things.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
mean, you guys, the PC-PEP program itself gave this big overview, but there's all these little tips and tricks that, one person has this situation, another one doesn't, or whatever. And just like, I mean, I don't even remember, but I think it was someone in the program mentioned having battery-powered fans for when
yeah,
you
yeah, yeah.
a hot spot, and so I got
I
a
remember.
couple of those, for one in the bedroom, one in the living room, and I had a big giant fan I got as well. I just like, and
Oh,
you learn to dress with air so you can peel things off when you need to cool off.
I
And
remember that. That's just precious. And it's lovely that we also have a room, just a breakout room just for the partners.
yeah,
And that's important, I think, for them as well. So no, it's
yeah,
growing
no,
all the time, it's expanding. Yeah,
it's the whole, yeah, the whole family is involved, and
yeah, yeah.
so yeah, I was uh, I'd get emails from friends on a regular basis asking me to let them know how I was doing and all that kind of stuff.
So
It
good.
was
I'm
nice.
so
And
happy.
that wouldn't have been there if I had kept it myself.
Yeah, yeah.
I even mentioned it on my blog to let people know that my output was going to probably drop a little. And people asked me for updates about every 4 or 5 months I would
Oh, good.
post a little update to my readers.
Yeah,
Uh, I didn't talk about specifics, but I did, I
yeah,
did say it was a medical thing and that.
yeah, yeah. I think it's wonderful. And I thank you so much for agreeing to talk to me about your journey because this is another thing that I'm observing with the PC-PEP program, that there is a sense of, there's an authenticity, there's a willingness to vulnerably share. There's
Yes.
no smirk, no sarcasm, no put downs, no, we make space for,
Yeah. There's a reality to it.
there's a reality to it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's not phony in any way. It's not like something that is forced, is unnaturally kind of perpetuated, or
Yeah.
there's an authenticity, a joy,
Yes.
a willingness to actually talk to other people about what we're going through and see each other as part of this journey, going through it together. Yeah,
Yeah. And it was helpful too because
yeah,
I gotten somewhat informed before I start the program, but you know, how do you talk about it to your
yeah,
kids and
yeah,
your siblings and friends and stuff like that? And got to know much better how to talk about it. And then I could send, this is what's happened, but
yeah,
it's okay, it's gonna be fine. I just have to go through the
totally.
yeah.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I could reassure them along with the information. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Well, David, thank you so much. Is there anything else on your mind that you might want to share before we say goodbye?
I don't think I could think of, but I just my appreciation for the program. I know the amount of work that
Mm,
YouTube, but all the team has done to put the program together and keep it running, and for inviting me into the program when I wasn't part of the, I wasn't exactly in Atlantic provinces, and so I was really appreciate I really appreciate that that was available to me.
David, thank you so much for being
Very
here today
welcome.
and for sharing your journey with
It's
us.
great to catch up too.
And this concludes episode 1 of our podcast. For more information on our prostate cancer patient empowerment program, please visit pcpep.org. Thanks everyone for listening. Until next time, take care of yourselves and be well.